Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're taking your sources, all this material on safe driving, defensive control, and we're really focusing in on one of the most practical things you do every single day.
Driving.
Driving. We're doing a deep dive into the complex language that's built into every car. The language of light.
That's right. Our mission here is to, fundamentally change how you interact with your car's lights.
Mm.
We want to move you past just knowing where the on switch is
Right.
to really understanding this critical universal language. I mean, at 60 miles an hour, you just don't have time to process ambiguity. So mastering this is it's the ultimate shortcut to clear communication.
Okay, let's unpack that because the sources lay out this kind of dual focus that feels really important. First, it's what the car is trying to tell you.
The dashboard warnings.
Exactly. And second, what you're trying to tell everyone else on the road, which is, all the external lights.
And starting with the internal, the sources are, well, they're pretty blunt about it. Ignoring just one glowing symbol on your dashboard can immediately cost you thousands, or worse, cause a breakdown on the highway.
So we have to internalize that color coding immediately. What does red mean versus, say, yellow?
Think of it like a traffic light. If you see a red indicator, that's a critical failure. It demands immediate action.
Meaning pull over now.
Pull over now, turn the engine off, and figure it out. We're talking low oil pressure, high engine temp things that cause, immediate catastrophic damage.
And yellow or orange?
That's more of an alert, a concern. It's not usually an immediate catastrophe. It's the difference between danger, stop right now, and, hey, this system needs attention soon.
So like the check engine light.
Exactly. Or low fuel, or your tire pressure is a little bit low. It's an alert to be proactive, not reactive.
The big picture then, whether it's internal or external, it's all about one thing: visibility and clarity, making sure you're seen and your intentions are understood.
Before you even tune the key, we need to talk about that baseline. I mean, your safety relies on functional lights, but it's the maintenance that everyone seems to forget about.
Until you get the ticket, right?
Or worse, have an accident. It's so easy to just assume they're working, especially the lights on the back that you can't see from the driver's seat.
So what's the key takeaway on maintenance?
You have to periodically check that all your lights are working, and this is crucial, that they're actually clean, clear of dirt, mud, road salt.
Because that grime can block the light?
It dramatically reduces the illumination. A foggy headlight or a mud-caked tail light is like a light operating at 50% power.
And the sources point out this one really terrifying risk with tail lights specifically.
They absolutely do. If you have a dead tail light bulb, just one, you face a huge risk of a side impact collision at night.
A side impact? How?
Because a driver coming up fast behind you might see only one light and misinterpret your car as a motorcycle.
Oh.
They misjudge the width, the distance, maybe even your speed. They might try to pass you on a side that, doesn't actually exist.
So replacing a bulb isn't just an inconvenience. It's making sure your car looks like a car and not a bike.
Precisely. And while we're on the topic of things inside the car, let's talk about the cabin light rule.
The dome light?
Right. It's great for finding something you dropped, but driving with it on at night is a really bad idea.
I always just assumed that was, so you didn't get pulled over. What's the real reason?
It's optics. When that interior light is on, your eyes adjust to the bright, close environment inside the car.
And that makes it harder to see outside.
It cripples your ability to see details in the darkness outside. You lose precious seconds of vision, especially on unlit roads. It's a safety trade-off you should never make.
Okay, maintenance checked. Let's move to standard visibility, just making yourself seen in, normal conditions. What about daytime running lights, DRLs?
DRLs are purely for presence. Their whole purpose is to make your vehicle more visible during the day.
So at dawn, dusk, in tunnels.
Exactly. They kick on automatically in those shaded areas. The data is really clear on this. They reduce head-on crashes and intersection accidents because they just cut through the visual clutter.
And they're low power, so they're not a big drain on the battery. But the sources stress this one major point of confusion.
It's the biggest lighting mistake people make. They treat DRLs like they're low beams.
And they're not.
Not all. DRLs usually only light up the front of the car. Often they don't even activate your rear tail lights. And they provide almost no useful illumination for the driver at night.
So you're basically driving blind and you're invisible from behind.
Absolutely. Which brings us to the real workhorse. The low beam headlights.
Yeah, so when do we switch to those?
Low beams are your default, your standard setting, normal nighttime driving, any bad weather like rain or snow, and definitely in traffic.
Hmm.
They're engineered to give you a softer, wider spread of light.
And they're angled downward, right?
Yeah, right. Downward and slightly to the sides. That's the key. It keeps the light on your immediate path without blinding oncoming traffic. The range is shorter, maybe about 200 feet.
So if your car doesn't have DRLs, the best practice is just to use your low beams during the day?
That's the best defensive technique.
Yeah.
And then, finally, you have parking lights. Let's be clear. Their purpose is in the name. They are only for when the car is parked
Stationary.
and vulnerable to passing traffic. They have absolutely no use while driving.
Right, so when the standard lights aren't enough, we get into max visibility. This is where you have that trade-off, right? Seeing far versus blinding everyone else.
And that's the domain of the high beams.
High beams push that range out significantly. We're talking, what, 350, 400 feet, maybe more. You need them on dark roads, but there's an absolute rule here.
It's non-negotiable. You only use high beams on rural or poorly lit roads with no other vehicles ahead, period.
And that means no headlights coming toward you and no taillights in front of you.
Even if they're a quarter mile away.
Yeah.
You have to dim those lights fast enough that you don't hit the other driver's mirrors. And always check your dashboard for that little blue high beam indicator. It's easy to forget they're on.
And the sources have this one rule in bold text. Do not use high beams in fog.
Yes. This is so counterintuitive to people.
It feels like more light should help when you can't see.
But it's about reflectivity. Fog, heavy rain, snow, they're all just millions of tiny water droplets. High beams are so bright and angled straight ahead that the light just reflects off those droplets right back into your eyes.
Creating a white wall.
A blinding wall of white,
Right.
which is exactly why we have fog lights. They're the specialized tool for this job.
And their design is what matters.
It's everything. They're positioned low down, usually in the bumper, to get under the fog and reduce that reflective glare. They shoot out a wide, extremely low beam.
So you only use them when visibility is truly awful.
Precisely. Fog, heavy rain, a dust storm. The guideline is when you can't see more than about 100 to 200 feet ahead. And just as important, you have to turn them off in clear conditions. That low, wide angle can be really distracting to other drivers when there's no fog to absorb the light.
Okay, let's pivot from visibility to the language of immediate intention, the signals that say what you're doing in the next few seconds.
These are critical. Reverse lights are the easy one. They're white, they're mandatory, and they automatically signal you're about to back up.
Then you have brake lights. We all know they signal slowing down, but there's a defensive technique in the sources that I love.
This is that advanced layer of communication. Let's say you're on the highway. Traffic suddenly slows, and you look in your rear view and see a car coming up way too fast.
You need to get their attention now.
And just holding the brake pedal down isn't always enough. The sources strongly recommend you lightly tap the brake pedal multiple times. A quick, deliberate flash.
So you're pulsing the brake lights.
Yes. That sudden strobe effect is so much better at snapping a distracted driver to attention than just a steady red glow.
That's a fantastic tip. It turns your brake lights from a passive signal into an active warning.
Exactly. And speaking of active warnings, that brings us to hazard lights, the universal signal for, I am a problem.
Or, there is a problem here.
Right. And you should only use them when your vehicle is actually posing a hazard. The list is pretty specific. You're pulled over by police, you're in an accident, your car breaks down, you're changing a tire on the roadside.
It's also for things like a funeral procession, or if you're towing another vehicle. And circling back to that defensive driving idea,
A major speed difference. If you have a mechanical issue and you're driving, say, 30 miles per hour below the speed limit, you have to put your hazards on. It alerts people to how fast they're closing in on you.
but the list of when not to use them is just as important. We see people misusing them all the time.
It's rampant, and it just creates confusion. Don't use them for driving in heavy rain. That's what your headlights are for. Don't use them when you're slowing down to take an exit.
Use your turn signal.
Use your turn signal. And please don't use them when stopping at a red light. And the big one, they are not a park anywhere button.
It's not a get out of jail free card for illegal parking.
No. And you shouldn't use them when a turn signal would do. If all four lights are flashing, the person behind you has no idea if you're stopping, pulling over, or about to change lanes. It just degrades the meaning of the signal for everyone.
Okay, so we've covered the constant signals. What about the quick, momentary ones, flashing your headlights?
This is the really advanced stuff. This is driver etiquette. It's a quick, momentary code between drivers.
So what are the appropriate uses for that quick flash?
Number one is to warn other drivers of a hazard ahead. An accident, debris in the road. It's a quick, nonverbal, hey, pay attention.
You also use it to alert someone that their high beams are on.
A polite reminder, yes. And it's also great for signaling intent to yield.
Right, at a four-way stop or letting someone merge.
Exactly. A quick flash to say, go ahead, I see you. You might also use it on a sharp curve and poor visibility just to say, hey, I'm here. Or even to discreetly tell another driver they have an open trunk or flat tire.
But then there's the aggressive side. We've all had someone flash their lights to get us out of the passing lane.
And that's where it crosses the line into aggressive driving. It should never be used to intimidate or pressure another driver. And while it's common, flashing to warn people about a speed trap is actually illegal in some areas.
Oh, really?
Yes, it can be seen as obstructing justice. You need to check your local laws. But ethically, flashing should be about alerting to immediate physical danger, not regulatory warnings.
Let's shift gears completely to the electrical system. A really common question for drivers. Do the car lights actually drain the battery?
The verdict is an absolute yes. They can and they will.
Yeah.
But understanding how it happens helps you prevent it. There are basically three scenarios.
The first one is the obvious one. You leave your headlights on when the engine is off.
Right, the engine's off, so the alternator isn't running. The lights are drawing power directly from the battery's stored energy. A new, healthy battery can handle that for a while, but an older one will die very quickly.
Okay, but what about when you are driving and the battery still dies? That's a bigger problem.
That almost always points to a failing alternator. If the alternator isn't working, it's not recharging the battery as you drive. So the car's just running off the battery's power until it's completely empty.
And then there's the one the source is called the sneak attack. Parasitic drain. What is that?
Parasitic drain is when some electrical component, because of faulty wiring or a bad relay, keeps drawing a little bit of power, even when the car is completely turned off.
So it's a slow leak.
It's a very slow leak. You might park the car on Friday and everything is fine. You come back Monday morning and the battery is totally dead because some tiny circuit was pulling power all weekend.
That explains why it can be so hard to diagnose.
It's exactly. The best defense is just good habits. Always double check your lights are off, use those auto-off features, and if your battery keeps dying, ask your mechanic to specifically check for a parasitic drain.
So we've really moved from just a bunch of switches on the dashboard to understanding this, well, this sophisticated language of visibility and communication. It seems like using your external lights properly is just as critical as responding to a red warning light.
It is. It's all about creating consistency and clarity on the road. And a final practical tip.
Yeah.
Before you install any aftermarket lights, do your research. Make sure they're legal in your area and that they're actually effective. You want to invest in real safety, not just an expensive gimmick.
We've really stressed that clear communication is everything. We rely on these signals to convey danger or our own intent, but we also have to assume that not every other driver out there has, been through this deep dive with us.
Right. So here's our final provocative thought for you to consider. If we're using these more sophisticated signals, like tapping our brake lights or flashing our headlights to yield, how often are those signals just misunderstood or completely ignored by a driver who isn't paying attention?
What's that next layer of information we have to account for?
Exactly. What is the information that we should assume other drivers don't know? And how does that change our own defensive maneuvers? Think about that assumption of ignorance the next time you signal your intent on the road.
Please like, subscribe, and get notified.